Hold on.
Hello and welcome back to the Not Your Neurotypical Fitness podcast. And I've got an amazing guest that this has been a long time coming, hasn't it? Like we
Oh,
originally
yeah.
planned
Third
this
time
for,
lucky, I think.
was it like November, December when we tried to plan this for originally?
November.
November, and life has happened. So I'm just buzzing to be here. I don't know about you, but I've
Me
got
too.
amazing Louise on. And actually, what's really exciting is I think it's almost maybe I don't know how much you believe in the divine universe, energy, and all that stuff, but since we originally booked this, like so much stuff seems to have happened with like your social media and the business and the projects that you're working on. So it's actually probably good that we're having this now because there's probably more cool stuff that we can chat about with where you're taking things in your world, which is going to be ace. But just to,
Yeah.
start at the beginning, can you mind just giving people a quick introduction of like who you are and the work that you do online and what your mission is when it comes to all things ADHD and neurodivergence?
Yeah, I am Lou Woods. I'm a content creator and an ADHD advocate, and a student. And yeah, I'm just all about empowering people really and just trying to reduce that shame and build community online and help people feel seen.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, with all the people I get on the podcast, I always like to talk about your journey with neurodivergence and ADHD because everyone's journey is so uniquely different, isn't it? Some
Mhm.
people are born and diagnosed and they've developed it. Some people are late diagnosed and it comes with loads of challenges. So, what's your story with ADHD growing up, diagnosis, up to where you are today?
So I was diagnosed in my mid 30s. So I was raw dog in life for quite a long time. I people always ask me this question, and it's got two answers. So I knew there was something wrong with me from an early age, but I didn't have a label for it,
Yes.
which is just so damaging. But I would say when I got to secondary school, things really started to unravel for me because obviously you're in primary school, you get dropped at the gate, you just had to sit in that one lesson and there's no homework, things like that. And then got into secondary school and it just like eroded into chaos. And then that continued into my 20s. Had a lot of battles with alcohol and drugs and bad relationships, like just pure chaos. And then it was only through awareness, really, online and
Mm.
when it all started to become more prevalent in the last few years, that I was like, oh wow, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people, I didn't really have the full picture of what ADHD was. If I did, I would have known a long time ago, of course. But yeah, it's that's probably why I'm so passionate about the awareness side because it really can give people a lot of answers and can be life changing.
100% agree. And it's really interesting what you were saying about this. And I think a lot of people can really resonate with that experience of growing up knowing they were different and not just different in that they're a bit quirky or a bit
Mhm.
geeky or whatever. It was this feeling that you couldn't shake that there was no word for, there was no label for. And this is where people
Yeah,
get, because you're searching for answers, right? When you feel different or broke, you want a label for it. The same way if you've got a headache, you want to know what the headache is and how to fix it. That's just like how we're programmed. So then you go searching and then you're like, well, I kind of tick the box for anxiety. So maybe it's anxiety, or I kind of tick the box for this. And then you get the wrong diagnosis and all these pathways, right? Um, and I completely related to that feeling up until I think I was 24, 25 when I got diagnosed a few years ago. So when you were saying then about the awareness kind of gave you that, oh, this could be the thing. What things do you, if you remember, like specifically kind of gave you that? Because when we, we said the whole picture of ADHD originally, it was just the naughty boys, the chaos, the running
yeah,
around, the interrupts.
yeah.
Like, what things for you were like, oh, I resonate with that. Oh, that could be me. Do you remember what they were, those
So
specific?
it was my friend was doing a psychology course at university, and he did his dissertation in ADHD in women, and
Wow.
he was like, "You are 100% ADHD." So I then kind of researched it myself, and I was like, tick, 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 and it was just so much stuff. Like there was never it was never one thing that I seen. It was just doing like the research off the back of that
Mhm.
that made me realize. But going back to what you said about the labels, can I just say that is what makes me so frustrated now about people saying, "Oh, everyone wants a label," because the label thing, like you say about the headache, it can. That's how you get the right support. That's
Yes.
how you get better. Not that
Yes.
there was anything wrong with us in the first place, but you find your community, you can heal.
Yeah, like this, it's a big thing, isn't it? It's trendy. Everyone's like, no one wants to be it. Like, I'm
Exactly.
not like, oh, I'm so buzzing. So it's not like you
Yeah.
gain anything from it, but what you do gain if you are that is that final piece of the puzzle to go, that's what that thing is. And no one wants that uncertainty or, if you think about anyone who's got a health condition where maybe they haven't got it diagnosed and that frustration, that pain, like if someone had like a stomach ache and they kept going back to the doctors and it wasn't the right thing and it was the wrong diagnosis and they were still in pain and they were like, I just want the answer. You won't be like, stop trying to get a label. You'd be like, come on, let's
Yeah,
find it. Let's find it. Come on, we need to get the right support here.
exactly.
And that's exactly what ADHD is. And I think it is just because, isn't it? This the awareness has changed, social media's changed, it's now more spoken about. So those generations of 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there's a lot of people that should have had it a long time ago, all in cluster. So it's just because there's so many people in one go. That's why it feels that way. But you're so right. Like we deserve validation. And then, like you said, it's the pathway to
Mm.
support, whether that's medication, therapy, counseling, or just simply finding your community online.
Yeah, because I mean, undiagnosed ADHD is or can be so dangerous.
Can be
Like,
easy, can't it?
we're just so much more likely to develop these risky behaviors and
Mm,
very, like we're at like a really high risk of suicide,
yeah,
of alcohol addiction, drug addiction, everything. And people saying, oh, everyone just wants a label and, making it's almost like dismissing people and kind of stopping them from coming forward and saying, getting the help that they need.
absolutely. We're going to come on to that in a bit about like the sort of
Mm.
damaging behavior because I know we've both got stories and past and histories.
Yeah.
So it's quite funny that people that have these like self-discovery journeys of like having these little signs and you just got your friend doing psychology where you go, you're ADHD, mate, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there
Um,
was definitely signs there. My dad said it to me a few times, but like I say, back then it wasn't like I don't know, I can't explain. It wasn't a thing. There was no awareness really at all back when I was growing up.
So
So
you kind of had that then, because I had a very similar thing happen with me. Like a couple of people I was working with at the time said it as passing comments. And then I mentioned it to my coach at the time, who I trusted. She was very knowledgeable and she still is an amazing woman. And she was like, well, you do tick a lot of the boxes. And we spoke about it in the context of my like relationship with food and quite erratic thoughts and thinking. I did the same as you, went down a rabbit hole, read a few books. I was like, and
mm,
I knew for me at that point, the reason I wanted the diagnosis was not for a magic label that I could stick on my, not now, that is on my Instagram everywhere, but at the time I don't want that. What I wanted
mm,
was that answer for that why
yeah.
have I always felt different, and just to be able to get the right help and accept myself, which is such a
Mm.
beautiful thing. What was it for you then? Was it
So, do you know
similar?
what? I think the sad thing is, like, I wasn't looking for that because I think I'd come to terms with the fact I was just a nose or I was really erratic. I was really anxious. I was misdiagnosed with anxiety. I was on tablets for anxiety. I was misdiagnosed with depression, on
Yeah.
tablets for that. Yeah, it's a classic, isn't it? And I always, I was always told, oh, God, you're such a nose, like, you're too much, like, all the time. So I was just kind of having experienced that up until my 30s, I'd kind of just, made peace with the fact I was a bit of like, I was a nose and I was anxious and I was erratic and that was it. So I'd stopped looking for answers really. And that's really sad because some people might still be thinking that, you know?
When you had those like, oh, could it be ADHD then? Is that when you just, what made you then go, did you go for the like a diagnosis? Did you go for,
Yeah.
so what kind
Yeah.
of made you then go, because you said you made peace with that, but what then made you change your mind to go, but I am going to get this answer
It,
or I'm going to,
going back to university. So I'm at university now. So and obviously, like I'm in my 30s, so I'm like, working at the same time and trying to juggle all that and then being in the classroom, it was like, whoa, like I can't do this. So yeah, that definitely led me to the diagnosis. And oh my God, I'm so glad it did. Like it was so life-changing and so like don't get me wrong, it comes with a lot of healing. Like I went through all the emotions after the diagnosis. I was sad, I was weirdly shocked even though I knew it was going to be, I was going to be diagnosed. For some reason it was quite shocking. And then like grief as well that no one
yes,
really speaks about, like you kind of grieving the life that you could have had.
absolutely.
And yeah, it was definitely a bit of a tough time actually after the diagnosis to get to a place now though where I
Yeah,
do feel more empowered and I do
yes.
feel I've been able to forgive myself, for a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
I do
things.
definitely think that is a common diagnosis journey,
Yeah.
isn't it? Of like, it's that exact emotion. I remember that kind of like shock and then grief and then anger and then I feel like I need to figure my whole life out now. And then
Yeah, like who am I? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you kind of like getting to know yourself again. And then it's really confronting in the way, like, oh my God, like when you realize that you were masking in some situations
yeah.
and mirroring and things like that. And that was hard for me to kind of accept as well, because you kind of think, oh, was I not being genuine?
Yeah,
Like,
what was me? What was?
yeah. And
Yeah,
it wasn't that. It was just we were, self-preservation, isn't it? It's our nervous system protecting us. So
100%. And that takes time. Like one of my things for this year is to continue that journey because I'm just constantly finding things out about myself and having lots of self-discovery. So one of the things I want to work on this year is I don't really drink, but if I drink like at a party or whatever, I drink. Do you know what I mean? I am getting very intoxicated. And I was like, why do I do that? Is it just ADHD all or nothing? Why do I do that? And something I've realized is that in those situations and contexts, I don't like the situation or context because it's either I'm quite socially anxious, you'll think it, but with new people, I can feel quite anxious and on edge, or like if I'm overstimulating, lots of music, lots of sound, and it's the only way I can cope. So I actually want to kind of experiment and learn about myself. So you'll constantly still do that on the journey, but it is a beautiful journey of self-acceptance and
mm.
validation.
I
And
love that you said that. Sorry to interrupt,
no, go
because
for it.
I used to I was like big drinker, just take drugs and everything all the time, bit of a hedonistic lifestyle. And since I've gone back to that environment sober, and I've tried to do that kind of
Oh,
like clubby, like bar environment sober, everything you just said then was exactly me. It's like too overstimulating, too overwhelming. Like it's like I just want to go home.
yeah.
As like as dramatic as that sounds, but yeah, and that's kind of like obviously, why people do fall into that trap.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was going to ask you that question next, but I think we'll come on to it on the end because I really want to talk about like your projects and what you want to do in terms of like the
Mhm.
advocating and stuff like later. Um, but I found your page, I do actually believe, on like a For You page because obviously the algorithm picks up
Yeah.
the creators, and you were sharing something about like nutrition and well-being, and obviously that's my bag. I do health, fitness, well-being. It's my big passion, and especially with neurodivergence. And I know that you've had like struggles and challenges with it, and it's something that it's one of like the core things that you talk about in content, something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah.
What for you has made you quite passionate about talking about the importance of like well-being and nutrition in the context of ADHD?
I love what you do, by the way. I think it's so inspiring because it is so hard with the fitness and the diet when it comes to ADHD. And I think it goes back to the all or nothing mentality. Like there's so many contradictions with ADHD. We're
Yes.
either one way or the other, aren't we? And I think for me, my disordered eating was, well, it was emotional, definitely, but it was also very impulsive. I would, just binge eat sometimes and not really think about, oh, there's dinner in an hour, or, it's 10 o'clock at night, I shouldn't be eating all this. Or I would be working and completely forget to eat because I wouldn't have those hunger cues. It's just all over the place. The only time where it was quite good was when I was working in an office, and then you get those kind of lunch breaks. And
Yeah,
but when you're working from home for an ADHD, I think that can be quite difficult to keep on top of. I also think the gut health side of things can make such a huge difference to our symptoms. Like, and there's so much more emerging research on that as well.
yeah. Well, even just if we think very, very, very basic science of, that your gut's where most of your serotonin's produced.
Yeah,
And with a
over
new
90%, isn't it?
yeah, it's crazy. And if you think we've got a natural dopamine deficiency, if you're
Mm.
then having like fluctuations of serotonin, you've then got two deficiencies of neurochemicals that make you feel good. So
Mm.
then you're going to be doing things by byproduct to make you feel good that probably aren't necessarily the most helpful. And this is where you then got, I'm not saying it's purely that, but you're more than likely to fall into it. Well, then overeating and then creating that vicious loop. Because if you're eating not so nutritiously dense foods, which have
Yeah,
their time and place without time. But you eat
yeah.
lots of those, your gut health thrown off, your serotonin dopamine's low and it can be a cycle. Or you turn into drugs, you turn into alcohol, you turn into gambling, overspending,
Mm.
toxic relationships, like all of these things. It sounds dramatic, like I'm having a biscuit loose, but it really does all come together. Um,
Yeah, it really does all come together when you think about it, doesn't it? And it's like the time blindness of it all. Like that can relate to so many things. It's like not just being late, it's not just time management, it's actually our perception of time and how we experience time.
mm,
Like there's so much more to it. And I think just the time now just holds so much emotional weight. We're not ever thinking too far in the future.
for sure. So when you mentioned a little bit, if you don't mind me asking a bit about your disordered eating, because disordered, you've obviously got eating disorders, which is you diagnosed binge
Mhm.
eating, anorexia, bulimia, which anorexia is in the past of mine, very much linked to ADHD, something that needs more research, but that is a topic for a whole other day. But there is so much links with disordered eating on all ends of the spectrum with ADHD because you've got, I think it's 3, 4 times more likely you are to binge eat, which is crazy because you've got
Mhm.
impulsivity, you've got dopamine seeking, you've got control, which is quite an interesting one. So when I was looking at my eating disorder in the context of ADHD, at that time in my life, I just felt wildly out of control with
Mm.
everything. And it's because I just didn't know who I was. I didn't fit in the world. And it was just a horrible time. And food was something I could control. And that went on for quite a few years. So what was kind of like your experience with like disordered eating and struggles with food? And how do you now know that that links to ADHD with all the information that you now have about yourself and the way ADHD is?
I had disordered eating from in my late teens. And I think that was down to a lot of control as well. Just being, I was in such a chaotic point of my life. I was drinking really heavily a lot as well. And it was I just remember being very sad around the time as well. And then just like having really bad self-esteem issues. Like self-esteem's always been a real issue for me. So I can't tell you how it crept in. But it was always there as well, like through my 20s in the back of my mind. I think sometimes I had a very toxic relationship with food. So like going a whole day without food would be an achievement, you know, it would be like, oh, that's really, yeah. And I think sometimes like going off subject a little bit, but that's can be the danger with the medication sometimes because they don't tell you how much it suppresses your appetite. And for some people that could be a great thing, and it's obviously not a great thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because there's almost like a high, isn't there, that comes with it of like, because that's what I
Mm.
got when I was anorexic. And obviously, I don't use that word as like a what's the word? Is it what's the word for some descriptive word? An adjective. That's what I'm thinking. And genuinely,
Yeah.
I was anorexic. I go all day with hardly eating anything. And I remember the thrill that used to come of like I hardly eat anything. I'm not promoting this, guys. Like, please, if this is triggering, turn it off right now.
Yeah.
I'd go into a dance class, grueling. I went to like a dance school where it was like pirouettes and all this stuff. And I remember
Mm.
powering through that class on like a sachet of porridge made with water a day and feeling so accomplished. It's like a thrill, toxic
Mm.
thrill. And like when you that feeling of accomplishment can come. And also if we think about the narrative of women, I mean we're going for tangent, but it's so relevant. With women are
Mm.
celebrated for being disciplined when it comes to dieting, isn't it? It's like a bit of like a narrative with it of like how
Yeah,
hard
do you
diet.
remember like sorry to interrupt you when you like go on a date or something, people are like, oh, you can't order the burger or
Yeah.
you don't order the pizza, you're always
And
going
then
to order a salad on the first date.
yeah. So not only have you got the toxicity of that the ADHD
Yeah.
thing, but you've got the narratives of women and all these things come into it, right? So what have you done to support yourself? Because I know what I've done to support myself, and the listeners know my story of like food and stuff. So when did it kind of just come about naturally? Have you worked on yourself for understanding ADHD? What have you done now to have a healthier relationship and mindset towards food?
My I feel like everything that all these the disordered eating, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, everything, I feel like it all stemmed down to self-esteem. So I had to have like therapy for self-esteem, which is when actually I realized that that was the catalyst of all the things that were going on. So therapy really helped. I had hypnotherapy that helped with the alcohol as well. And this was all before my diagnosis.
Yeah.
The actual diagnosis itself was a huge turning point for me in terms of drinking, especially, and just getting my mental health back on track because I could identify and marry things up and why I was feeling this way. And that in itself was a massive turning point. But therapy, like reading books on it and stuff, and following the right people on Instagram, like Tim Spector, Rianne Lambert. They do loads about gut health and how it affects your mind and things like that. And just making sure your diet is healthy online as well, because what we consume isn't just our food. And I remember back in when I was a teenager, the magazines out there about women were horrifying, like absolutely horrifying. And growing up around that was is obviously was just fed that like a beast and so yeah, just being really conscious of my environment, what I'm consuming online, and kind of back to the ADHD, you kind of gamify it as well in a way. Like I like to think that I'm going to have 30 gut points this week, and 30 well plant points doesn't necessarily mean different vegetables and fruit, it can mean like seeds and nuts and incorporating little things like that. And that can make such a difference. And it's kind of like a
Yes.
little challenge that week then, which we
Yes.
love.
Yeah, working with your brain. But what I
Yeah.
really loved about what you said there was people, when I asked that question about, people were going to say, oh, like what diet did she do? What this?
Yeah.
You kind of link to a lot of the work. That's why I do a lot of like, the practical stuff of like making sure you're
Mm,
eating regularly and all this stuff. But you are so right in that a lot of struggles when it comes to food with neurodivergent brain isn't about the food or the exercise. It's about you and your inner world. Because if you're not happy or you're struggling with self-talk or mentality, that is always going to fuel some sort of negative behavior in some way, shape, or form. So, like for you, what actually healed you, yes, having the fruit, the veg, the protein, lots of stuff has helped, but actually what really helped you to do that was how you thought about yourself, because that was the catalyst. And that's why in the program I've just started, which is all about like weight loss for ADHD,
mm,
I think everyone was expecting on week one to be stuff like calories and protein. Week
mm.
one was all about identity and self-talk, because it just mirrors exactly what you said, which is if you don't believe in yourself, if you are so negative to yourself and hard on yourself, you're always going to use food to cope, or you're never
Mm.
going to believe that being healthy and all this stuff is possible for you. Because I know I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't struggle with food until you change that inner world. So it's really fascinating that you said that, because I don't
Yeah.
think people
It,
realize that it is that. It's you. It starts with you.
it's like your self-worth as well. Like it's like if you lived in somebody else's body for the day, like how would you treat it?
I love that. Yeah.
And you would like, you would look after it, wouldn't you? You'd be so kind to it, yet we're not that way with ourselves. So I think a lot of it boils down to self-worth. And as we know, like going through life as undiagnosed ADHDers, that can be self-worth is something to be worked on.
Yes. And I don't think people think about that side of it when they get diagnosed. I think people think it's about, a lot of it's like the practical stuff, like, well, now how do I work on like time management and this, that, the other. All that is super important. Don't get me
Mm,
wrong, but I think the biggest and most important thing to start with is working on like your self-acceptance and your self-worth,
yeah.
because like you have
And
spent,
like
yeah,
getting like undoing all that conditioning as
yeah,
well, like, especially late diagnosed people, because having a lifetime of being told off for things that you can't help and,
it's horrible.
getting into trouble or being told you're too much or told you're this and that, like it's crushing, like it's so crushing. And it breaks my heart now to think that there are still kids out there that are hearing this
Agreed.
and are not getting the right support. I really do hope and pray that changes because I know, well, I like to think that a lot of our mental struggles are down to conditioning and that's something that can be changed.
100%. If you get told something enough, you will believe it. And it does
Mm,
impact like a lot of the work I do with the people I work with, the women I work with. Like I said to you, it is about the protein and this, but a lot of it is it's self-talk. Like we need to get you believing that you can, because you've just been conditioned to think that you can't, or you're not capable, or you're this or you're that, from especially the older women that I work with, in their 40s, 50s, even late 30s, because they've had years of that. It's really,
yeah.
really, really sad. So just to kind of still, expand on that topic, because I know the impact that a healthy lifestyle has had on me. So when I talk about like health and stuff, and obviously I usually can breathe it. It's my life, is fitness. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love doing the fun, crazy, fitness goals and getting strong. But for me, it's completely transformed my life in the respect of energy and mood and motivation and happiness. And what affects, I know it's not going to be all that, because I'm not saying that I'm this now happy, healthy person just go to the gym and eat some protein, but it's a
Yeah.
huge piece of the puzzle. It's like, I know if I don't eat well and if I haven't been to the gym in 4 days, don't talk to me because I'm a grumpy person. What impact has it had on you, like psychologically, physically, since making those changes? Because I think we need to talk about these things in the context of ADHD, because when we think of just health and fitness purely from losing a couple of pounds or eating, it's not that sexy. But what does motivate an ADHD brain is importance, like how
Mm,
much it can impact you. When you know something's going to have this really positive impact, you're more motivated to do it. So it'd be quite
yeah.
interesting for people to hear, like, how has it helped you? Why are you so passionate about talking about it? What impact is it having on you at the moment?
I definitely noticed a change in my mood, 100%. And going to university as well and having to sit and focus, I noticed a change in my focus so much. Like it's profound. Like, and I don't go to the gym every day, but I try and keep on top of it. However, times like Christmas or, if it's my time of the month, I'm probably might not go or I'll miss it a few times and then I'll notice. That would be my like kind of reminder, like, okay, you need to keep on top of this. And times when it is my time of the month, that's kind of when my food can go out the window a little bit. because I have PMDD, so I get quite
Oh,
low. If
ADHD.
I don't prepare for that, then my diet will go out the window, and that makes my symptoms so much worse. Like it's so connected.
Vicious cycle. Very common is PMDD with ADHD
Oh
because
yeah.
what
It's like
seems to
half of us. I think it's 46% of people with
crazy.
ADHD.
Yeah, absolutely
And
crazy.
I never knew what PMDD was until I seen it on social media.
Yeah, again.
How crazy that we don't get told that in school.
Well, that's an argument for another day about women.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could go on a tangent there, couldn't we?
Mhm.
But you know, when people say like, how am I ever going to be consistent with exercise? I was that person at one point. I was like, how do people just stay consistent? When you develop a relationship with exercise, like you were saying, you notice the difference in your mood. That then kind of becomes your signal that,
Mm.
oh, I've not been in a bit, or I'm not doing this. Like for me, I don't really get that with the gym because it's so ingrained in my routine. But if my
Mm.
food, if I've been really busy and I'm a bit slack on my nutrition, I'm eating a bit more processed food and not as many vegetables, and I get these signals from my body. Like I feel demotivated, a bit more
Mm.
irritable, a bit more bloated. Sometimes I'm not sleeping well, and I get these signals from
Sleeping.
my body, and it's like it's quite cool. I kind of again kind of nerdify it, gamify it a bit to be like my
Mm.
body's telling me, and that's I find that really fun that I'm getting this feedback, and it's just creating a new relationship.
Yeah, mindset shift, definitely. And like the sleep thing, like I forgot that one, but definitely I noticed that
Yeah,
so, so much.
yeah,
And as soon as your sleep goes out the window, like it
yeah,
affects so much stuff. I noticed it over Christmas because my routine was out
yeah.
and I wasn't sleeping well. And like it was just, yeah, as ADHDers, definitely we need our sleep. Our nervous system needs its sleep for sure. Sorry to go back to the food. I think we have we have higher inflammation than normal people because we're
Yes.
so chronically stressed and in fight or flight, and food can really help that as well. It can be a great support thing.
Just honestly, the amount of things it can support with is just absolutely like crazy. Hence
Mm.
why we talk about what we talk about. But speaking on that then and what you talk about, you're obviously juggling quite typical ADHD, quite a few places
Yeah,
at the moment. I can't just do university. I've also got to be an advocate and I've also got to do this, which is amazing. So we're obviously like just for people's interest, what are you studying again, just out of interest?
psychology.
It's that kind of stream. Yeah, we spoke about that, haven't we? Like that's what I did my degree in.
Mm.
And obviously now your social media is growing, you've got a community online, which is amazing. Um, I'd love to hear a little bit more about like the mission that you're on and what kind of got you like posting about it online. Like when did you start the page and what was kind of the idea? Was it first just to document? Was it to like, no, I really want to get my name out there and make some noise? Like what kind of sparked that for you?
So after I got diagnosed, it was kind of like I can't not speak about it. It was like I've never been so compelled to do something in my life because it was just, it ignited this sort of passion about awareness and helping other people. And the more people relate to my content, the more it kind of motivates me to do it because so many people say like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't realize this, or, I'm really struggling, and they don't feel like they can speak to people, or they've been dismissed by people. And it just makes me want to keep building even more and creating a big community. And also, like, for myself as well, like meeting fellow ADHDers like yourself, I really think we just vibrate towards each other and sharing lived experience and gaining more knowledge for myself as well. Like it's just an incredible way to spend my time. And yeah, I just think it's so important, like especially in today's world when the narrative is going a little bit out of line, let's say.
It's like a wiggly line, isn't it? I feel like we make progress and then something gets thrown off, and we make some progress and something
Yeah,
gets
it's
thrown
like
off.
now there's like two stigmas going around rather than the original one that we had to contend with. Now
Yeah,
there's the other stigma of like, oh God, too many people have got ADHD.
yeah. I don't know if you've noticed. I mean, I definitely what I think has really sparked it is the Barbie, the autistic Barbie. What we then are now seeing is this like divide within the community,
Mm,
like people wanting this and then wanting that, and it's a lot. It can really feel a lot, but if you can find people that you vibe with, it really does change so much, and I love that. So what's kind of the vision with this then? Because obviously you are juggling, you're at university, you've got a job, you started this community, your social media is really growing. What I mean, I know sometimes with ADHD we kind of just like do things and just like, I'll figure it out, we go and
yeah.
see what happens, mate. Like, it's what it is. But do you have any sort of visions of like the career or the community and the Instagram of like what you want to do with that to make impact?
Yeah, so the plan is just to keep helping people really. I think when we spoke about divine intervention earlier, I think this was kind of like divine timing, let's say, because I went back to uni to do psychology to become a therapist, not kind of knowing what it was I wanted to specialize in. Like I'd had therapy for loads of things before, probably all kind of connected to ADHD, but and then getting my diagnosis, and now I'm in my third year of study. I know that's what I want to go on and do professionally as well. But for the time being, just building the community ADHD Interrupted, which is like a really supportive group. We do like online events every other week with coaches and some great minds that are free. And it's just to provide that support and community and keep connecting people, keep connecting with other people as well, and
I love that.
just create more awareness, really.
Which is absolutely amazing. And do you know what's really fun? There's so much similarity with our story. It's a bit weird. I went to uni to study psychology because I'd had the history I'd had with food, and I'd just come out of anorexia recovery at that point.
Mm.
And I knew psychology paths gave me a path to help people in some capacity. And I had no idea which pathway I was going to go down. I was just like, I know I really want to help people and transform their life in some way, but I
Mm.
don't know what. When I got to my third year of uni, that was when I realized I was deeper into my fitness journey. And again, didn't really know about ADHD, but I just knew the first time in my life I could focus on something that felt good, that felt healthy, and I felt confident, and it felt really nice. So that's
Mm.
where I go into fitness. My parents like, you sure you want to do a graduate job? I'm like, nope, I want a PT. Not the best decision I ever made. Um,
Mm.
but it is just all these like pathways happen and stuff. And I just think as well, like when things feel right, just go for it because you never know where it's going to take you.
It's so common, isn't it, for ADHDers to want to help people and go down that road of being like service providers. And, I think we're such deep empaths and we
Yeah.
feel so hard, like we're just really driven by that kind of thing, which I love.
That's
We're
why I just love
emotional beings.
Yeah, that's what I love about what I was asking about the community and online because in a lot of other sort of and there's nothing wrong with people wanting to make money and we all have bills to pay and I
Mm.
completely respect that. But usually when people start these projects, it's from a space of like a business idea, which again I've got nothing wrong with being a multi-business owner. Like I get it, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much that I love about the neurodivergent community because we've gone through. It's almost like trauma bonding, isn't it? In a way,
Yeah,
we've
God,
gone
it
through
is.
shared
Yeah.
struggle. People are just so willing to want to like level up and support each other. Like I've never had so many people want to come on the podcast and connect and do this because we just want to share and help each other.
Mm.
And so like if you take nothing from today, if you are feeling alone, just find a community because what's really interesting and you can probably relate to this if you think back to like sort of primary school, I always
Mm.
felt like I didn't quite fit into friendship groups. I was the one pushed out. I was that awkward one kind of on the side. Whereas allowing myself to be part of this community, and this is why I do also think like diagnosis and validation is so important. For the first time in your life, it's like someone sees you and like, come on in, come play with us. And you never had that as a
Yeah.
kid. And it's just so nice to
Oh,
feel like that, isn't it? That you're just invited and welcomed everywhere. It's
yeah, there is such a sense of belonging. And I just think like I just think we naturally gel with one another, and I think that's really beautiful.
yeah. And when
On
you
that
found,
same,
I don't know about you, but I found like relationships and communication really hard growing up, like making friends and communicating, find it really hard. But like if you bump into someone at an event and you bond, like, oh, you realize both ADHD,
yeah,
you just make friends for life and connect. And
we
like
are
I've
the
like,
kind of.
known you for years and we just spoke today for the first time properly. It's amazing.
Oh, I love that. We're just all kind of on that vibe, aren't we?
We absolutely are. So I've just kind of spoken a little bit there about your personal visions for what you want to achieve with
Mhm.
where you want to take it, which is beautiful. But I know we've spoken about it a bit. I'd love to hear what you would love to have happen on a societal scale. And I know this is obviously a bigger thing and it requires lots
Mhm.
of voices and lots of advocation, hence why we do what we do. But if we were to fast forward like 5, 10 years down the line, because there's been so much change in 5, 10 years with
Yeah.
neurodivergence, what things, if we could wave a magic wand, would you
Hmm.
love to see happen and change in society to help people with neurodivergent brains?
I think it would be like to shift the focus on what's wrong with us to kind of what works for us,
Love it. Yeah.
but more emphasis on our strengths. Because at the moment, if you Google ADHD, it's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, the challenges are all valid, but it's all the bad things. Whereas, like, there's so much good stuff about having ADHD as well, especially with the right support and environment. I'd like to see assessments done in schools for kids at an early age. And just a lot more acceptance and perhaps like that it's not just a disability, like it's just a different neurotype. Like we're not, we're
Yes.
just different, and like
Yeah.
I experience it now in university. Like it's still not built for our brains,
No.
that this world is still a neurotypical world. So I would like to see a lot more inclusion in that sense.
You literally stole the phrase I was about to say. It's like it's not a disability, but a difference because
Yeah,
the world disables us. We aren't disabled. That's how I kind of like to look at it, of like the way the
yeah.
world structures. And I do appreciate you always have to cater to majorities, and I appreciate that.
Mm.
Any, if you were you were going to make a cake for a birthday party and 80% of the people want a chocolate cake and 20
Mm.
didn't. Well, I'm sorry, but 20% of people are going to be unhappy, but that's just how it is.
Yeah,
But it doesn't mean that there can be more understanding and compassion and awareness and adaptations. And I think I like what you said about the negativity because I do agree there's so much negativity. I'd
Mm.
like to see more positivity. And if we can't change the world, because for a second, I don't think we can change the world because if the main neurotype isn't ADHD, autistic, I appreciate we have to cater to the masses with.
Yeah. I think there is a lot more they can do. I've
Oh, I
like
agree.
asked for certain things, and been told no. But there's just little things. Like for example, and this might sound really trivial to somebody else, but I mean, misophonia is another co-occurring disorder that you have with ADHD, and I have it terribly, like terribly. I turn into a different person if someone's chewing loudly next to me. But just having a no eating policy in the lecture room, things like that would help. I've literally walked out of a lecture before because someone was eating an apple behind me.
Oh,
I can't cope with it. And yeah, just very small tweaks I think could help, and things like awareness around misophonia, which can be really detrimental when you're trying to learn, or even in social situations, like around the dinner table and things. Like,
yeah,
but if you were to say it, people look at you like you're a lunatic. Like,
yeah. Awareness and education, isn't it? It's just awareness and
yeah.
education because from my end of what I do, what I would love to have happen is, we can't get rid of, struggles with food, but if more people understand the connection and understand
Mm,
prevention's always better than cure, right? So like if we can bring
absolutely.
these things in to support people, so yeah, well, that's why we have to keep doing the work we do, isn't it? Just
Yeah, and more awareness in schools as well can help
yes,
people gravitate to each other as well. Like you say, like when you struggled in school, I was kind of like the opposite, but I used to kind of float about, but I think I masked a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like I really wanted to be liked. Like I was just
yeah,
very, because I've got combined ADHD, so I have like the hyperactive side as well. Oh, like two peas in a pod. So I think I used to call it involuntary confidence because I'd be like blah, 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 blah. But then I would like try and get the words back in. Like I just
mine
yeah.
was just like I never really felt like I always felt like I was on the outside. Like I had friendship groups, but there was very
Mm,
few people that I felt like I was like. It almost felt like I was like an extra piece, like I'll just let her in, sort of thing. Like it didn't ever feel like I connected. And I remember
mm,
I look back now, it was bullying. Like I had bullying
mm.
within friendship groups at one point, and it was because I just was so deeply wanting to belong and be liked, which now I understand
Yeah,
why.
I had that as well. Yeah.
It's you look back now and you're just like, wow.
Yeah, like the people pleasing side is just exhausting, isn't it? Like, and it is just that wanting to be liked and wanting to be accepted and wanting to wanting approval. And
And that
I
leads to
feel sad now
toxic
looking
isn't it?
back. Do you know,
Yeah.
I looked at emails that I sent even 4 or 5 years ago to clients and things like that, and I was like, oh my God, like I felt really sorry for myself because the way I was speaking,
Yeah.
and I don't really like to use this word because it's a bit embarrassing, but it was like a desperation in my voice, like if that's okay, blah, blah, like just always like, oh, no worries if not, like,
Yeah.
do you know that
No,
kind of
100%.
language where it's just like, and like even looking back, I could feel how I felt at the time, like really like, like, and that was the constant feeling throughout all my life, just feeling like on eggshells or on the brink of something. Our nervous systems, like, have really had it hard, haven't
They have.
they?
They've taken it. They're ready for retirement after what they've gone through. Um, this has been an absolutely wonderful chat, and I feel like we could chat for about 20 years. So to do another one at some point. But to wrap up today, is there anything you want to leave people with? Is there any sort? I mean, I know we've spoken about absolutely loads of really awesome stuff, but if there was anything specific you really want anyone to take from today, or understand, or know, just wanted to make sure that you've had your opportunity to get that across in today's.
Yeah, just find your community and find someone who understands, because I think having that validation can release so much shame, and shame is one of the toughest aspects about ADHD, I think, and it's one of the heaviest things to carry. And speaking to other people or, just finding things online and getting that validation, like that can really, really help with the shame side of it, I think. But yeah, and just know that you're not broken and you're not alone, and there's plenty of us here to support you.
Absolutely, and that wraps it up absolutely beautifully. So to finish up, can you just, I mean, I'll let people know in the description and show notes and stuff as well. If people want to come find your page to connect, to learn from your content, and I do love your content. You've got a really nice balance. We're speaking about how people just talk about the negatives, and there's a lot of content creators and advocates that are brilliant, but I just think they tip onto the negativity side a bit too much of the. I
Mm,
know we like to make a joke, don't we? Like, oh, we've got our
mm.
keys again. It's just
Yeah.
always that. And it just kind of confirms those limiting beliefs where you've got a really nice balance of, hey, validation. This was my experience. Hey, this is a
Yeah.
real struggle, but also let's enhance our lives. Let's thrive. So it's this really nice, empowering place to feel validated, but also
Thank
empowered to do
you.
stuff.
I
So can
think
you
it's
just
so
like
important to have both. So important because, like, our struggles are real. They shouldn't be invalidated. They need to be recognized. But at the same time, we need to also recognize that we have amazing qualities as well. And I mean, I hate the word superpowers a little bit now. It kind of gives me the ick sometimes, but I'm going to say it. Like, we do. We have a real heightened sense of like creativity, intuition, empathy, like so many things. So, yeah, it's definitely important to have both.
so people would like to come and have a bit of that, where can they find
Yeah.
you on social media?
Oh, yeah. My social media is It's Lou Woods, and my community is ADHD Interrupted. So give us a follow because we've got lots of events coming up and a very special guest coming
I've
soon.
heard she's pretty good. I've heard she's pretty knowledgeable,
She's all right,
pretty.
She's all right.
Well, I'll leave all of those in the show notes. Obviously, please go drop her a follow, guys. And for everyone who's a regular listener, I will see you on the next
Can I
episode.
please say what song I'd like that is ADHD?
Oh, you want to
I
ask that
can't remember
question?
what question
You've
it
been prepped.
was.
Oh, so sometimes I like to ask the fun little questions. I've completely forgot because we've gone off on amazing tangents. So to wrap up the episode, I'm going to ask a fun question because you've clearly been ready for this. If ADHD was a song, what would it be and why, Louise?
Do you know what? I'm like acted all big, but I bet someone might have said this before. Bohemian Rhapsody
Yeah,
by Queen. Yeah, but
there's
I just
every
built
emotion
myself
under
up
the
so
sun.
much as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like the rapid genre skips and like tempo skips and like just the chaos
every
of it
emotion.
all.
Yes.
Plus, it is like I genuinely believe it's one of the greatest songs ever written.
Oh,
So
it's genius.
that bit of bias.
And it's genius.
Oh,
ADHD's
incredible.
brain's a genius.
He had ADHD probably, I
Oh,
reckon.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone for listening, and I will see you next time around.